This video is about football. It's a video for people who don't watch football. I used to view American football as simple, yet I knew little about it and couldn't contribute to football conversations. When I heard the Dallas Cowboys were worth $3 billion, I couldn't believe it. What was the appeal of sitting down for a 3-hour game where people ran into each other? The question stuck with me. Why are people so fanatical about this sport? Then, as has often been the case throughout my life, my father explained it to me. It's a game of intricate strategy and is, believe it or not, largely a social game. I've come to realize that once you understand football, it's easy to see why people love the game. It is truly about people. Let me explain why it's not a game about hitting people and is actually a game you might understand and even be fascinated by. When fans talk about football, they talk about players. Die-hard fans might talk about strategy and formations, but usually in reference to individual players. For example, when a team faces up against the New England Patriots, their defensive strategy is tailored to the Patriots players they will be lining up across from. Let's use the 2014 Patriots offense as an example to highlight who and what fans might talk about. Any defense opposing the Patriots will be anticipating Tom Brady's strong passing ability. His on-field leadership is well known and respected, but equally important are the 5 guys who are responsible for protecting Brady so that he has time to make great passes. These 5 guys are referred to as the offensive line. In recent years, the Patriots' offensive line was famous and frequently talked about for hardly ever letting anyone past. The linemen shown here are star linemen from recent Patriots history. Most famous are the 2 players on the left. Both covered Tom Brady's blind side. The blind side is the vulnerable side that Brady's back is to when he gets ready to pass. The guy on the far left, Matt Light, covered Tom Brady's blind side for a decade before retiring in 2012. Logan Mankins worked with Matt Light to cover Brady's blind side 9 of those 10 years, but was traded to Tampa Bay in August 2014. In recent years, all 5 of these well-known Patriots linemen made huge individual contributions to the team's success and especially Tom Brady's performance, as they protected him from getting sacked and given him time to connect with an open receiver or find a break in the defense to run through. So far in 2014, the Patriots' offensive line has been faltering, and this provides a great example of both how football is about the social aspects rather than the violent ones, and provides examples of things fans typically gossip about. When a lineman misses a block and the quarterback gets tackled because of it, it's called a sack, and the lineman's failed block often ends up in the papers and in blog articles. And when a lineman helps hold the line together and gives the QB time to make good passes, his name ends up in sports headlines. Ryan Wendell has helped the Patriots line come together in 2014 and has received plenty of recognition for it. The Patriots have had a rough 2014 season, but their struggles have been largely attributed to 2 main events. First, the retirement of longtime offensive line coach Dante Scarnecchia, and second, offensive lineman Logan Mankins being drafted from the Patriots to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Scarnecchia had coached the Patriots' offensive line since 1982, and Logan Mankins is one of the best and most highly paid offensive linemen in the NFL. Both were big losses. All of this helps to explain why so many people love football. It is a game about amazing athletes and coaches whose every decision is scrutinized. Team strategy is impacted by the loss of a single player or coach. Fan gossip goes beyond critiquing performance, though. Fans gossip about contracts, politics, and off-field conduct. When an all-star gets signed for a huge multi-million-dollar deal, NFL fans and sports analysts quickly move into second-guessing whether the player is worth their salary. Quarterback Jay Cutler is the highest-paid NFL player with a 7-year, $126 million contract. He plays for the Chicago Bears. The second and third highest NFL salaries go to Peyton Manning of the Denver Broncos and Eli Manning of the New York Jets. They are brothers from Louisiana who both happen to be amazing quarterbacks. 5 of the top 10 highest paid players are quarterbacks. Interestingly, 4 of the top 10 salaries go to defensive linemen. Defensive linemen are not covered in this video, but will be in future videos and can currently be read about in the Be a Fan app. In addition to performance and money, fans also gossip about off-field antics. The NFL is a mix of admirable players who do charity and community work, and troublemakers who party and get arrested. Some players are humble, others have inflated egos. Guys like O.J. Simpson and Michael Vick are the well-known criminals, but most of the time it's small stuff like Randy Moss and Terrell Owens getting grief for being hotheads. Owens is remembered for scoring a touchdown, then reaching into his sock and pulling out a Sharpie to sign the ball with before throwing it to a fan. You can look at football like this. It's a game about players and inches. In future videos, we'll talk more about players. We'll talk about what each position does, who the famous players are, and catch you up on the social current events. For now, let's switch gears and talk about inches. Here's a basic map of a football field. Most people know that from end zone to end zone, a football field is 100 yards long. What most people don't know is that it is 53 yards wide. This is hardly ever mentioned, but it's a very important dimension to a field, as this is the 160-foot width the defense must cover and block to keep the offense from advancing. The slightest gap will be exploited by the offense to catch a pass or to slip through for a breakaway run. The field is 100 yards long, with measurements every 10 yards, yet there's no 60, 70, 80, 90, or 100-yard line. Why? Because the measurements go to 50, then count back down again. This is why announcers always refer to the lines in ways like, they're lining up on the Colts' 20-yard line. By saying which team's yard line, they are saying which side of the field. The offense tries to score on the opposing team's side of the field. If they are 20 yards from scoring a touchdown, they are on the opposing team's 20-yard line. Despite the lengthiness of the field, football is not a game of 60 or 70-yard breakaway runs, like you see on YouTube. You may have heard the term, football is a game of inches. This is closer to the truth because progress is often gradual. Even the best teams make gradual progress up the field. Only about 7% of all running or passing plays will gain over 20 yards. The other 93% of plays are short distance, rapid plays where every step matters. Running plays are often designed to gain just a yard or two. Running plays only gain an average of 4 yards, while passing plays average a gain of 7 yards. But run attempts succeed 4 out of 5 times and keep the offense slowly moving up the field. Passing attempts will only succeed about 3 out of 5 times. Peyton Manning only averages 8.5 yards per pass attempt, and that's more than any other QB in the league. Eli Manning, another all-star quarterback, gets an average of less than 7 yards per pass attempt. Both throw passes that are caught about 60% of the time. Right now, the key concept to understand is that football strategy revolves around incremental progress up the field. Even passing plays, which on average gain more yards, are far from the typical Hail Mary long bomb passes that saturate newsreels and YouTube. Upcoming videos will further explain positions, players, formations, strategy, how leagues work, and fantasy football. For immediate access to all Be a Fan guides, download the iOS app for free. Otherwise, click the subscribe button to keep up to date with all future Be a Fan videos. If you liked this video, please click the like button. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. Thanks, and welcome to being a fan.